Today I'm going to go over a couple different things. First I'm going to go over the Tascam DR-100 Mark II, my old recorder, and then I'm going to show you some different microphone configurations that I use in the field and in the studio if you want to get better quality recordings than with your just your front mics there. And I'm probably going to use them like that tomorrow. I've got a live recording and I'm debating whether I want to take better quality mics like these two guys. And I'll probably do that. I'll probably set those up on a small tripod and or maybe on a mic stand in front of me. I'm going to be shooting with camera on a tripod, so I'll probably just figure out a way to set these next to me and record a stereo recording of the room. I could do it with just those. You know, they're lightweight and unobtrusive, especially in a crowd of people. But the quality is so much better. The quality is so much better when I just use a couple of good microphones. I was thinking about that this morning. You know, the quality of this recorder is excellent. The preamps are very good. Everything I like about the recording functionality was great. The 32-bit, it's really quiet. So I don't have any problems with it there. It just seems a real shame to record through those, any kind of decent quality recording through those two mics. You can get away with it, but I think if you'll really take a close look at them or even take one apart, you'll see just how flimsy it is. It basically looks like a little teeny plastic cheap microphone when you get past all the chrome and everything that looks nice there. When you get down to the actual mic diaphragm itself, it looks like it costs about 59 cents. So it just seems a shame to do that to such a nice unit. So I hope we'll see some improvements on that in the future. I hope enough people are complaining about those mics that Tascam will do something about it, at least allowing other microphone companies to get involved with them. And I don't think that's going to happen with this unit, I'm afraid. I think Tascam's going to have to come out with another Portacapture Mark II, and maybe we'll see some more universal mic jacks in the front of this unit. I don't think anybody's going to want to go out of their way to make microphones that can only be used with the Tascam Portacapture line of units. That little jack right there is not universal in any way. That's a proprietary jack that only works with this. So Tascam better step up their game on that. I'm not sure how they're going to do that. I think the simplest thing to do would be XLR microphone jacks that are both phantom powered, and then start developing their microphones to plug directly into that. Some little short stubby microphones that would plug, even if they're going to use the same ones, that would plug into XLR, but these are not balanced powered mics. So anyway, let's move on from that. What I wanted to go over real quickly with you is the Tascam DR-100 Mark II. This is the predecessor to the Portacapture, and I had this for many years. I still have this, right? It still works. I purchased this from a gift certificate that I got at an old employer. They gave me a nice birthday present, and I bought this on Amazon, and that was back when Amazon didn't sell much besides books. They just started selling other things besides books. That's how far this unit goes back. And I picked it up because the price was right. The DR2 Mark II was $150 at the time on Amazon, free shipping. It was great for my purposes at that time. It's just a 2-track. It doesn't have any additional microphones besides left and right. It does have, in addition to the mics on the front, which were the same mics, I believe. They look exactly the same, but they weren't detachable, and there was no XY configuration. And also, they had this nice little cage around them, so I liked it better. They were a lot more enclosed. Felt really solid. I wasn't worried about those microphones so much. There were also two little microphones, Omni mics on the top, built right into the unit. And then in back, of course, you have the left-right XLR inputs. And as you can see, those are just XLR. Those are not a 1/4 inch input. And I'm not sure the company on those. Anyway, they were really well made. The only problem I had was a little locking mechanism. Got stuck once with a cable, and it was locked in there on the right-hand side. That is, when I stuck that cable in there at one point, it locked, whoops, upside down. And lock broke and I couldn't get it out. It was a long cable too. It was like a 20-foot cable that wouldn't come out no matter how I did. So the lock really worked well. It just, the release failed. The little spring popped, I guess, and I couldn't release. So I was forced to open it up. I tried to get it out of there without damaging the unit, but unfortunately that was so well designed that the lock, I had to literally heat up a screwdriver or something and melt that to get that jack out of there. And then, as you can see, it's fine. It doesn't lock anymore, but it works fine. And the other side still works. You can hear the lock clicking. I hope that one never fails. So what I did is I just got these two little short cables because I was worried that if the other one got locked in there, the same thing would happen. So for a while I was just running around with it like that in my gig bag. That wasn't very professional, I know. So it got me starting to think about updating the unit. The unit was about 10 years old. And I said, well, you know, what else is out there? And that's what got me looking at the 32-bit Portacapture. I love Tascam's line of products. They've been making stuff for a long time. And I wanted to keep on investing in that. I didn't really want to get into Zoom at the time. I just liked Tascam. So I did it and jumped to the Portacapture. There are some nice things about this old unit that I wanted to go over real quick. There's no mic jacks on the side. They put the volume knob, instead of down at the bottom, they put it on the side here. It was kind of nice because it was splittable. You had a left-right separate preamps, but they were kind of together. They kind of glued together there a little bit so you could turn them at the same time, which is what you usually do. But if you did want to have one side hotter than the other, you could do that. The nicest thing about it, I think, besides the build, was that it had an included lithium battery, which the new Portacapture does not. And that just slides right out there so you can see it. And it still works great. It's been charging up for years now and I've never had any depletion. You could probably still find these batteries, I believe, from TIAC. And that goes in there. And that's rechargeable with a simple, oops, that's the USB-C. It doesn't do that anymore. It does do it came with a bunch of stuff, including this charging cable, which is a different kind of, it's not a USB-C. It's on the other side on this unit. You just go down there, plug that in, and then plug that into a power source. I don't believe you could operate the unit like that. That's something they updated later, but you could charge the unit from that, but I don't believe you could actually, let's try it. Let's just turn on the unit. The power's on the other side on this one. It's not a sliding thing, it's just a button now, and it takes a minute to charge up. It says USB connected. Yeah, I don't think you can use this with the charger on there. Anyway, once the battery's charged, it lasts a long time. I would go out many hours with the lithium, and the only thing that would deplete it is, of course, the phantom power available on those attached microphones you could use. In addition to the lithium battery, which I liked a lot because it lasted so long, it also had the, not 4, but 2 AA batteries in there. So again, it was kind of something you used. You could run pretty long off those 2 batteries, but what I would usually do is just use the lithium battery until it depleted, and then I would fall back on those AA batteries. Okay, so that's usually what I did, and I was able to do long shoots with that, long recordings. The other thing I liked about it is on the back, there instead of having to go into the menu, you have 4 different settings: the mic gain, phantom power on off. You could turn the speaker on and off, and there's an auto limiter. The nice thing about the speaker was it was not a little teeny thing in the back. It's a nice big actual speaker on the front of the unit, so you could hear that pretty clearly on playback. The 2 little Omni mics weren't very good quality, but they were good for capturing a lecture or something like that. Or if you were sitting in a meeting, you could just bring that in, set that down, and hit record. The only thing you had to do is set the microphone input right here, which is right on the front. XLR, the unis, they call them up front, the Omnis, these guys. Or you could do a line in if you had a line in going on the side. Simple line in and a line out, headphones, volume control. They had the same hold lock feature you could do. That still worked. That was right there on a separate switch. And a DC in. So you could power that if you were indoors. That's pretty much it on this unit. I just loved it. I guess in the back here you've got a little mic line switch if you're doing a guitar, plugging a guitar into it or something, or a PA system, whatever. But I never used that. That's everything. Oh, the last thing I forgot to show you is the SD card up on the front. The little hatch broke off it. As you can see, that came off a few years back, but didn't harm anything, and you just pop that chip out. And it was a full-size SD card. It was not a little micro. So I do like that. You can just pop that right into your computer, your laptop, or whatever, and you don't have to use a little adapter. That goes back in there. I am noticing that that is starting to stick, so that's going to be a little bit of a problem, but I don't use this unit too much anymore. I still use it when I've got my Tascam Portacapture in use in my gig bag. What I might do, because I'm moving that all over the place with me, what I might do is set this on a tripod. Again, you've still got that screw on the bottom. Set that on a tripod, and you just use the front mics to record an ambient. Turn this on and just let it record nature sounds, street traffic, whatever I wanted to do. It wasn't tying up. I didn't have to be there. I could capture the whole set, whatever I wanted. I would just that came in handy. It's also a good backup unit. If something does happen to this, I'm at least able to kind of capture 2 microphones, or it might save the day sometimes just as a backup unit. I won't go all into the menus and everything. There's other videos on that, and this is not a video about this unit. I just wanted to show you how versatile it was and how durable it was. It still works after all these years. Here's where that auto function switch worked. If you went into record, let me turn this down so you can see it a little bit better. If you went into record, there's no level right now, you see. As soon as you hit record, the light blinks. I've got to put it back on the right microphones. That's one thing you had to watch out for. Because you would think you were on the XLR and you would see level, but you might have been on the Uni by one click over, and you're seeing level, but you're not on XLR. So I did do that once. I thought I was recording with professional microphones, and I was actually recording with these two, and it didn't work so good. But live and learn. But you can see this is in the standby mode, ready to record, but it's not recording yet. You had to hit the button twice, and then it would go and record. And that shows solid red. There's no other tally indicator on this unit besides that. I wish this turned red or something, but that was back when this is the only LCD screen they had. LED screen, I guess that is. I get them mixed up. Anyway, and then stop. It did have some better scrubbing features and stuff like that. Anyway, all this stuff was kind of right up on the front, all the buttons. You didn't have to go down to the menu too much as you do with the Portacapture. The other thing about this unit, and I'll address this to the folks at Tascam, I love your Portacapture line. It's looking good. There's some problems to sort out as we've gone over, but one thing you could do right off the bat is give us more value for the buck. The DR-100, and I believe the DR-100, the first one, the Mark 1, looked exactly the same, and they just made some updates in the Mark 2. I never had the Mark 1, but one of the things it came with was a little windscreen, which is brilliant. Unfortunately, that does not fit on the new. Well, you know I'm wrong. Well, it fits on there, but there's no microphones in there, so you can't use this on the new ones. But you could put that little windscreen on there, which was very necessary. It also protected the mics in your gig bag. I would just leave that on there, so that would protect things. It came with a bunch of cables, let's see if I have them. It came with a charger. It came with some strange cables. Do I have them handy? This is one of the things I really liked that it came with, was the little Tascam case, which was really nice. It was nothing fancy. It was not a, you couldn't drop it, but you just could stick that thing in there. Let me turn it off. To turn it off, you hold it. There, power's down. This you could just throw in there. It's really just, they just gave you some nice accessories to go with it at that $150 price tag. So why they're not doing it that at a $400 price tag beats me. They're trying to save a buck. But isn't that nice? Came with that. This is not the cord it came with, but it came with a RCA cord. It came with a cigarette adapter for your car, so you could charge the unit if you're in your car. It came with a couple little cables that you could use to, I don't think I have those handy. I thought I did. Oh, there it is. There's one of them anyway, that little guy. I can't remember exactly what that was for, but it came with it. I think this is for the, beats me. I can't remember what that little, but it came with some little cables like that. And the main thing that was really nice, besides the case and the windscreen, was it came with a nice little remote control, which was really nice considering the handling noises on these. You just plugged it straight into, where is it, the side? Yeah, remote control. Oh, you know what, that's a digital input that you can use if you're not using the remote control. So you could plug a SPDIF, I believe, into that, stereo SPDIF, from a DAT player back then, or any kind of a digital source. You could run right into it. I don't think I ever had the opportunity to use that, but you could. A couple other cables came with it, and then this was the most brilliant thing, is the digital, the remote input. It was on a nice long cable. I think that's a 10-foot cable. And so you could put this on a tripod and then go out in front of the unit or stand back well away from the unit or whatever you wanted to do and operate the unit. It had all the transport controls, the record button right from there, some function controls as well, so you could do that. It clipped on your belt, which was really nice, and you didn't handle the unit. You're not touching the unit to record, so there was no handling noise once you got it set up. And that would be so nice if Tascam included that, at least that, and maybe a basic case. You can use this case with the microphones off, by the way. And then you could use that remote control. There's no way to plug this into, I tried, there's no way that I found that you're able to plug this into the Portacapture. That would be so nice if I could just swap it over and it plugged into, like, you know, I don't know, the line in or something. But something to think about in the future, Tascam. Instead of relying on the app and Bluetooth connection and all that, if you could just give us a simple remote control, that would be super. I think we talked about the history of Tascam. I'll go into that in another video, I think, unless Tascam calls and yells at me from Japan. It says, hey, why are you knocking our product? I'm not knocking your product, Tascam. I'm just saying that there could be some improvements. I'm a loyal fan of Tascam. I just think we could up our game a little bit in the Tascam Portacapture Mark II. So that's about it. Tascam, 1971. It started in Tokyo under TIAC. I think it standing for Tokyo Electronic Audio Company, if I'm not mistaken. And then Tascam was their pro audio subdivision of TIAC, which made other products. And then they opened up, I think, 4 branches, at least one in America and in California, pretty sure. And then sold product worldwide. And then more recently, Gibson Company purchased a major share in the company, and I think they have controlling interest in Tascam. So that would be awesome if we could see Tascam and Gibson get together, maybe on some cool new microphones or something. Tascam is the professional audio subdivision of TIAC. Let's keep it professional, Tascam, and really try to step up our game there on some of these microphones and stuff. Those aren't professional on the old unit, but okay. And give us that remote control back, please. I love that. It's so nice. Oh yeah, I'll just throw that in my sound bag. I usually kept these in an old Crown Royal bag. I'm old school. Here we go. Just got through all my cables and connectors, and even my windscreen in there. And that has not deteriorated. Usually these fall apart, right? Whatever foam they're using, that is brilliant stuff. Keep on using that. And I would throw the whole Crown Royal bag with that in my sound bag. I still do. I still keep that with me as a backup. Let's go right into manual mode. And I'm trying to remember when I turn the unit off, with manual mode on. It's powered off. And then power it back on. It goes right back to the manual control instead of to the launcher, which is nice. So if you want, you never have to go to that launcher window again unless you need to, and you can do that from home. If you need to go to the launcher, you can, but I don't know why you would, guys. This launcher, as beautiful as it is, it reminds me of an old rotary phone. But you know, so nice, but it would be nice if those features were on the manual section somehow. So you never have to go to the launcher unless you need to change your settings or something like that. You can stay right within your 6-track manual mode screen here. What I'm going to show you now is how you can attach some more professional microphones to this. I've showed you some of the cables and things that I use. I've showed you how you can get lots of different things plugged into it. I'm just going to take a second now to show you how to use microphones like the ones that I use to record. The first thing I can show you is a simple direct box. Here's just a direct box. Any direct box will do. This is one I've been using from Samsung for years. It's a powered direct box as opposed to a passive, non-powered direct box. It has a battery compartment. You can put a battery in there if you need. If you're using a non-powered direct box, you don't need, obviously, phantom power. But if you are using a powered direct box like this one, you can do that from the Tascam with the phantom power. So let's plug in a unit there, and we'll plug this into the output. It's got a ground lift and a switch that goes from battery or phantom. So if you're using the battery, you got to click that on. I never do that. I just leave it on phantom power. And then you can plug a guitar or something like that into it, a synthesizer, any kind of line input, non-powered line level input, you can stick into that, and you can adjust the level from guitar or from speaker. Okay, I usually just leave it up for guitar. So you plug a guitar into that, for example, or a bass, and then you can record straight into your Tascam. The only thing is you have to turn on the phantom power, and you can see right now that little switch right there is off. Can you see that right there? When you turn phantom power on, I'm on 3. Just turn phantom power on. Yes, I'm sure. Click. There. You can see that little red light is turned on, right? You can see that. And that means that the unit's getting phantom power. All right, and then I don't have anything plugged into it right now, but one thing you could plug into this besides a electric guitar or a bass or a keyboard is you could plug in an acoustic guitar pickup into that. So if you've got an acoustic guitar on stage, instead of miking it up, you could just put that pickup in your guitar, or you run the output from your acoustic guitar if it had one built in, plug it into the direct box, record that clean signal into your Tascam, and then the reason you use a direct box instead of just running it straight into your guitar straight into the unit, to the 1/4 inch, which you could, but this way you're able to run that line output. I don't have a guitar cable right handy, but you would basically just take another guitar cable. This is the way direct boxes work. That's one output going XLR to your Tascam. The other output is right next to it. So you plug your guitar input into that, and then the output, you can run that out to your amplifier. Okay, if that was a 1/4 inch, use a longer cable, obviously you'd run that into your power amplifier, and then you can, the audience, and you can hear your amp without recording that amp. Now, if you wanted to get a second channel going for that amplifier, you could, and just mic up the amp and then run that in on channel 4 or whatever. But this is how a direct box works. You can do the same thing with the bass. Record your bass clean, 32-bit, and not have to worry about the levels, and then run the output to your bass amp for the audience and whatnot. But that way you've got clean recordings without your amplifier right there. And if you wanted, you could record the amp as well. So a direct box is a very handy thing to have, especially with a acoustic guitar pickup, a decent quality. You can plug that straight in. If you need phantom power, you can do that there. Let me turn that off. There we go. let's go over a better quality vocal microphone. We'll use this same setup on, I'm recording on channel 3. I use large diaphragm microphones when I'm recording in the studio, and good quality ribbon microphones, stuff like that. I like to have one in the field, but I don't want to bring my expensive studio mics out unnecessarily, especially to a live event or something like that. It's just not necessary. If you want to capture such a great quality recording, you can bring your expensive mics, but I recommend you don't. You're asking for trouble, especially if the unit is unattended, which is often the case with me. I'm often videotaping and I leave this unattended, or with somebody just kind of keeping an eye on it. So if you don't want to risk damaging or losing your expensive studio mics, I recommend you get an inexpensive, or a few inexpensive but good quality microphones that don't cost so much. This is one called the MXL V250. A band that recorded with me actually just left it in the studio. They didn't want it anymore. They weren't studio enthusiasts, so once they were done with their recording, they had a bunch of these and that they brought with them, and because they had such a large band. And I was like, why did they leave that? I guess they left it for a tip, and it really sounds good. I think it's like $100. It's a large diaphragm microphone. It looks nice, it's simple, and they sound really good. I was very surprised at the quality of this, and I checked it against some of my mics. I don't use it mainly, but for a second mic, it's great. But what I like about it, again, is that in the field, it's, you don't have to worry about a $1,000 microphone. You can just plug it straight in and use like a, I've got one here. Let's bring this up. Got a little microphone. This is a weighted stand that I love from Gator. Makes them. I saw it in Sweetwater, and they're nice because the bottom is weighted. They're meant for guitar amps when you have them on the ground. You can put these. Also, they're great for kick drums because you can put these. They're very short. They're not long microphones. They don't go very high, so don't expect that. They just go up and down a little bit. So you got a nice. And they're very well made. They look pretty. And what's more is that let's see, how would I do this? So you would simply screw that in there, and you've got a good quality. Oops, let me flip that over like that. That's how you do it, right? You could rotate this around. There's not a very fancy attachment for it. It's just a basic tightener, so you can't really get a. But like that, you could use as an announcer's mic if you're doing a wedding or a sporting event, straight in like that. And you could have a couple other mics going out to the band or whatever. And that takes phantom power also. Let me show you that. Just turn that on. This is not a ribbon mic, by the way, so I can turn my phantom power on. Yes, I'm sure. There we go. Let's go back to my, there. It is loud and clear right now. So if you had a singer and you wanted to put him or her in some kind of a closet or a vocal booth, you could separate that from your band and get a better quality field recording. I also use it when I'm doing what are called wild lines on photo shoots. Sometimes the director will ask me to record wild lines to get actors recorded script on, in case there's a cutaway or something like that. If they need to fly that in later, they can. You're probably better off using the same boom mic that you use for that, though, so it matches up with the boom mic that you're using overhead. But if you wanted a really nice large diaphragm sound, you could do something like this. So that is the vocal microphone. Unplug that. Doesn't come with a case or anything. There's just a box, but it's pretty drop proof. This thing is pretty solid. Put that away. I've got a slightly larger cable here if I need. Or you can always just use your good old 57 or 58, right? No phantom power needed. The other thing I'll show you is, this is kind of cool. Let me put that 57 aside for a second. In addition to recording on your 4 XLRs, here's some cables that I purchased on Amazon, as you might have guessed. There's 2 of them here, and all it is a simple, let me untangle them. I got 2, and they're just a few bucks. It's a simple XLR female to 3.5 millimeter TS tip sleeve. It's not a stereo or balanced connection. I tried that and that didn't work. And I think you can see where I'm going with this here. What I wanted to do was utilize these front mics, these front inputs, and you couldn't do that with a balanced input for some reason. I tried it, but it wasn't working right. And so you can plug, if you get the right kind, you just want that one strip in the middle. You want a tip and a sleeve. You don't want the tip ring sleeve, the TRS. So this is a TS, 3.5 TS male, and then it's coming from a standard XLR female. And then what you can do is get away from those Cracker Jack microphones. You can plug in any kind of microphone that is not powered. These are not phantom power, as I explained, so you won't be able to do that. Here's a couple Biodynamic 201s, M201Cs that I've had for a long time. They're really solid, and you can drop these. They're good sounding. They're dynamic mics. They don't require phantom power, which is the key, and they're not super expensive. But they're good quality. And you can just plug those in and have 2 good quality dynamic microphones right away. They don't require phantom power. They can take loud sound pressure levels, and they're very robust. So if they get bumped or even dropped, these have been dropped many times, hit by drummer sticks. They're really. I used to use these on snare drums, tom-toms, and there you have it. Put those up on a stand, and I've got something like that here. I've attached. This is a stereo bracket from Atlas. And you can get these from lots of different companies. All this is a stereo bracket. It doesn't come with the mic clips, but it just comes like that. And I've attached 2 mic clips to each side. And these are nice because you can use different sizes. These are the squeeze clip type, so you can use large microphones or even pencil thinner microphones. So that's what I like about it. And then you go with a gator stand right there, or any kind of a low profile stand, and then you can just screw this on. Just get it going, you can spin it. And then, but you would want to have this pointing the other direction. And then you could take these microphones and just clip them right in there like that. And they will balance out when you get them both in there. Tighten that all up real good. Facing the audience, facing the stage, not you, as I have in this, but you can see left and right. Okay. And you can angle those any way you like. You can have them X, Y, or you can have them A, B, just by rotating and twisting these. I'll show you one more thing I do. Something else I'll do is I've got these, I'll show you that in a second, these pieces of foam. You can also use, if you wanted, instead of this stand, which takes up a little space, but you can also if you're on a desktop situation in a conference room or something like that, instead of just throwing them on the desk, or if you don't have stands, just get yourself some foam. This is just bed foam basically, and you can just kind of squeeze those in there like that, which is great if you're in a conference room, okay, or any situation where you need some isolation, but You don't need the mic stands, and they're very easy to move around if different people are speaking, or if you're sitting at a mixing desk in a sound hall, you can put those right on the desk in front of you. You're getting a little isolation from the desk, and really handy. Little foam, and those work with obviously any kind of mic you want to put in there. And they work great in your sound bag too. You can use those to pad your cameras or whatever. I make them like that. I also made one like this. You see, so you're able to mount a couple different configurations. Once you get those pointed out in front, they work great, like that. Whoops, a little bit of weight on the back. There you go. That's how I'll do it. And then I can kind of angle that up and have those pointed away. Also, I have them so you can get a broader angle if you wanted a wider stereo image. Go. Simple solutions, right? While I've got those out there, I will leave those attached. But mainly what I wanted to show you there was those cables. You can use any kind of dynamic mics, but these cables really open up the unit. You're not using any of your XLR inputs, and you've already got two dynamic mics attached to it. You could also attach something like I showed you a little bit earlier. Instead of the wires, you could do SM57 or SM58 if you wanted to, like that. Those are both dynamic unpowered microphones as well. So I showed you the large diaphragm. I just showed you how you can use the two front inputs for dynamic mics. There's other possibilities here that are kind of obvious, but I want to show you what I often will do depending on the quality of the recording I'm looking for. One of them is using better quality microphones like these. These are my Audex ADX51s. These are sold as overhead microphones for drum kits. I find they work very well as a good multi-purpose solution. They've got a 10 dB pad. They also have a flat or 150 hertz roll-off, which is, it's too much of a roll-off for most applications because it's going to just roll off so much low, but what they're intended for is for overhead cymbals. So you can roll off anything under 150. That's going to be good for overhead cymbals, but not for most everything else. So I'll usually leave those flat, and you adjust those. They're recessed. You have to use a little pen or a paper clip to get in there. But leave those at 0 dB and flat. And these are brilliant field mics. They're so good with other things. Let me show you. Where's my? Here they are. What you can do, and these are phantom powered mics, so you can't plug them into the front. You can only plug them into your XLR inputs. There's one. There's the second one. And then you turn on your phantom power. Let's just group those as a stereo pair for a second here. So I turn on phantom power on the one side and then the other. Or you can have them not linked if you'd prefer. And phantom power is on both of those. So let's go back and look, and you'll see I've got power on both of those, left and right. You could, again, put those on a stand like the one I showed you. Or what I'll do more typically, and this is something that you should have in your trunk, I'll usually leave a mic stand in the trunk of my car, and then you can use your this guy. When I'm doing when I'm recording a band like I am tomorrow, in a sound hall or a club, there. That's how I would do it. I would put the stand out in front of me, facing the stage or the talent, And then you've got phantom power coming in on those two microphones, 3 and 4. I love those mics. Those are really nice, and they sound much better than the two that come with the unit. So you can get a pair of those for about $300, I believe, $350. And they sound very similar to a Shure SM81, which is a more expensive mic, very standard mic I've seen in many studios. You can pop a windscreen on there like that. It's an announcer's mic. Looks really good. Great for videos. And no switches. The singer or the MC is going to switch on or off, so you're not worried about that switch. Really nice. You could put a windsock on that if you wanted. You can use these on a boom. I'll use these for my second wired boom, or you can use a pair of them if you wanted to. If you're doing 2 actors, you can do 2 of these mics as a wired boom straight into there. You just need a longer cable and attach this to your boom and some windscreens, and you're in business. Okay, I've spoken about those mics in another video I have on drum recording, if you want to check it out. What I'm going to do now is show you how to hook up some really nice mics. I've showed you all these guys. I'm going to do my Royers. Pull these out. These are expensive microphones. I usually don't pull these out of the studio, but I am today special for you. I usually don't take these on the road just because they're such delicate and nice microphones. No need to bring them to a bar or a concert. But if you're in an acoustic environment where you've got a good listening room, say a intimate, quiet jazz club, or a concert hall, if you're doing a concert hall of an orchestra or opera, or maybe you're lucky enough to be in a small hall or a room where you're recording a chamber orchestra, or maybe a piano and violin, something like that, in a nice acoustic room, not too much noise. These are R10 ribbon mics from Royer, and you want to be careful around the handling on these. They're a little more delicate. You cannot, and let me repeat this, you don't want to send phantom power to these. If you did, I don't think it would hurt these mics. They're a little more robust than older ribbon mics, but it's still not recommended to send phantom power to those mics. So before you plug them in, I always double check and make sure that your phantom power is turned off. It's something that's really easy to overlook, and plug those mics and all of a sudden you're spiking that mic with some phantom power, and they don't like that. So now I can confirm that my phantom power is off on those 2 mics. Just for the sake of this, let's go to the other side. Let's go in on 5 and 6. Put that down here. It's over here. And what you would do is, I'm going to put them on the stand first. And you want to hold on to your mic. Even if this is tight, you want to be careful not to let that fall out of balance. And you just screw these on. What will happen is if it's a little bit loose, it'll flop down. So just be careful. And the same goes on the right side. Royer offers shock mount for these as well. If you wanted to spend some money and get a better shock mount, you could, although I'm fine with it like this. Once you've got those squared away on the stand, right now they're facing towards me. Obviously you'd want to face those out towards the audience. You can loosen the little bottom screws a little bit, and then you can rotate these out left and right. As you can see, I've got a little dot indicating the front of the microphone. These are figure 8 microphones. They pick up front and back, but this is the front of the microphone. You can dial it in tight for a XY configuration, facing in like that, or you can spread them out wide for AB configuration if you're in a larger hall or something like that, if you wanted more of a stereo spread. And you do want to be careful with these microphones. They're very susceptible to damage from wind. So what I'll often do is when I'm not using them, I'll put a piece of plastic that they came in is included, and I'll just put those back on so in case anybody comes up and tries to talk into it, or if there's a fan or you know, a windy outdoor situation. I probably wouldn't use these in an outdoor situation, to be honest. I mean, why would you want to do that? It's windy and noisy already. So, but if you're inside in a good environment, get it set up, put your windscreens on there, and I mean your plastic on there. And then I wouldn't leave this unattended, guys. I wouldn't just leave it sitting around. Something's going to happen bad to it. And these are, you know, expensive mics, so I hate to see something happen to that. But once you're ready to record, you just take those off. And then obviously we'd want to plug in your microphones. Okay, again, being careful not to send phantom power to them. Let's say we're doing an XY like that. Okay. Then once you're ready to go, 5 and 6 now, I would go to that microphone setup, and let's say I wanted to link them stereo. Turn that back on. Let's turn on the phantom power first. It asks, are you sure? See, that's what I wanted to warn you about. If you made the mistake of thinking these are regular phantom powered microphones, you just about sent phantom power to them. So are you sure? No, I don't want to send phantom power to them. So let's leave that off. You see how easy that is to do. Turn phantom power off on both of them. It alerts you to that. So now without phantom power, these are dynamic mics. These are ribbon mics. They don't require phantom power. You can see I've got some level there. It's a little soft, but when the band kicks on, that's probably going to be plenty of volume. Don't forget this is 32-bit float. If you wanted to bring that up a little bit, you certainly could. Don't turn on your phantom power though. Let's bring those up to, or if you wanted to, you could leave those at 18. Let's try turning on the couple things. Let's turn on the stereo link, and let's turn it from low input gain to high input gain. See how that works. See, that's a better level. If something's up close like this, that's a decent level for ribbon microphones. Chances are when the band starts playing, that's going to be too loud with that high gain on. But if that's the case, just go back. You can see I'm controlling both mics with one setting now because they're linked. You could split those apart if you wanted to. And turn that high gain back down. Okay. And that's going to be a really good quality, probably the best quality recording I can make with this. You can use any kind of microphones you like, guys. I like these ribbons a lot for special recordings. Think classical. That's going to do it for the ribbon microphones. I just wanted to show you the possibilities there. You could use other microphones besides ribbons. You could use a good quality stereo powered microphone if you wanted to, something I'm looking at, or you could use, if you had a couple really good vocal microphones for a vocal recording, you could pull those out of your mic locker back in the studio, bring them to the gig, and carefully keep an eye on them so nobody walks off with them or damages them. And you can make some awesome recordings with those great mics plugged into this wonderful unit. There is one more little thing I forgot to show you, and this isn't about the Portacapture at all, but in addition to having this mounted straight to that, which works fine, just pick up one of these. These are a little gooseneck, and you can get them in chrome or black, and you can get them in different sizes. This is a short 6-inch. They've got 1-footers, and I think even a 1.5 feet, and they're cheap and easy to attach to mic stands, and they give you a little bit more flexibility when you're positioning your mics. So you get that on there nice and tight, like so. And then you're able to get your mics facing the direction you want them to without moving the stand too much to fine tune it. You could use that with a stereo clip as well to mount your stereo mics and then get them angled just right. So pick up a couple of those. In conclusion, I'm going to show you the most elaborate setup you can use with this for capturing and recording drums. It's a great sounding unit, and if you wanted to record a drum kit either in the studio or in a live situation, say a rehearsal, a drum rehearsal or a practice session, and you've got your Portacapture. Let me show you how to set up some a basic drum mic configuration for your drums. Here's an old favorite. This is the AKG D112. I've discussed this in other videos about drum mics. Obviously, you need to use a XLR. This is not a phantom powered mic, so you could attach this to the 1 and 2 if you wanted to. I'm just going to put it on here for now. So that's a kick drum microphone coming in on 3. Another great mic for drum kits, as you know, is the Shure SM57. Here's a great mic for snare drums. That does not require phantom power either. I'm going to drop that on 4. So kick and snare on 3 and 4. And I recommend getting yourself in your gig bag at least 4 good quality long XLR cables. I think these are 15 or 20 feet. At least that. Don't use 8-footers, although having a couple of those is nice as well. But get yourself some nice long XLR cables that you can throw in your trunk. And you're able to get all the way to the stage then. For my overheads, my drum overheads, I'm going to plug in my Audex 51s. Okay. This is for my cymbal overheads. I'm going to do that on 5 and 6. And those two require phantom power, confirming that. These two do not. You can leave that unpowered. But 5 and 6 do on those two guys. Do I want to stereo link them? Do I want to keep them separate? What I usually do is leave them both mono. That way I have some flexibility when I'm mixing down over which mic I'm adjusting individually if they're off balance. You could link them together for a stereo pair if you want. But right now I'm just going to do them both mono. So let's turn on the phantom power on 5, pop over to 6, and do the same thing, confirming phantom power on both of them. Going back, now I've got, oh, it's not plugged in. Here we go. Always helps to plug the microphone in. Let me turn off phantom power for a second there when I do that. Plug it in. And turn phantom power back on. Yes, I'm sure. There we go. And you can see level coming in on that loud and clear. Let's go back. Now I've got my stereo overheads on left and right, my kick on 3, and my snare on 4. Pretty nice configuration for a drum kit right there. Kick, snare, and 2 overheads would be fine. If you want to take it a step further, we've still got those 2 front input jacks. I'll show you how you can do that now real quick. We've still got these guys, remember, our biodynamics? We could use those for other things, but I'm going to use them for tom-toms. And remember these cables I showed you earlier? Just plug those into those front input jacks, right? Now you've got some tom-toms as well, like a rack tom and a floor tom. Whatever you want. 2 extra mics coming in that way. So that's the 6 microphones on your drum kit. Kick, snare, tom-tom 1, tom-tom 2, overhead left and overhead right. Double check your levels again. Dialing them in around plus 18 or so is pretty good. Make adjustments if you need, but you probably won't have to. One thing I will show is if you want to adjust the inputs from this right now. As you can see, I've got my kick and snare coming in on 3 and 4. Let's say I want to put those on 1 and 2 for the sake of consistency, and then have my tom-toms on 3 and 4 or something like that. You would go to your general settings, input select. Don't go into your general settings there. Go into your input select. And right now I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. What I want to do is have the inputs from 3 and 4 going to 1 and 2. And then the inputs from these mics that are coming in on 1 and 2, I want to have those going to 3 and 4. So I switched them. And I can leave the 5 and 6 mics where they are. That'll be fine. Now if we go back, you can see clearly that I've got kick on 1, snare on 2, tom-tom 1 on 3, tom-tom 2 on 4, overhead left on 5, overhead right on 6. That makes things a little bit easier to keep track of. Just something I wanted to show you real quick there. So that's my drum mic setup. I hope you like that. You can put this on a mic stand if you like, and keep that down to your side. Say video the drummer and keep an eye on his audio right there or something like that. Works great. These tom-tom microphones don't have a very long run, do they? So you could, if you're close to the drum kit, you could do that. I don't recommend getting cables much longer than this. You're apt to pick up some interference, but they're just tom-toms, right? Those are going to be gated and noise gated anyway. So if anything goes wrong in your tom-toms, that's a lot better than on your kick, your snare, or your overheads. But those are good like that. Another thing you could do if you wanted to, instead of using those tom-tom mics, is just simply unplug those and plug in your. You can even hot swap this. Plug in your Cracker Jack mics that come with the kit. Like that. And if this is on a stand, and you're going to get kind of a room sound. So you've got overheads for your cymbals, kick and snare, and a stereo room pair out in front of the drum kit, a little back. 6 or 8 feet back from the drum kit would be my recommendation. At about the same level as the drummer, is sitting, same level at the snare, anywhere in there. I wouldn't point it right into the kick, but kind of picking up the whole drum kit from a few feet back. And then these mics are more close in. Another option would be to use these overheads on your tom-toms then and use these as your overheads. I have seen videos where they mount the Tascam unit upside down, facing down over the drum kit. You could do that, if you wanted to have the unit hanging up above using these microphones, but I think you're a lot better off unplugging these and plugging in something where you can get some reach on it. Plus, if it's hanging over the drummer, you don't have control, or you can't see and control the device, obviously, unless you are the drummer, in which case I guess you could reach up and adjust it like that. So, something else you could do. Took me through some trials and tribulations to figure out all these little connections. I know it looks easy now, but believe me, it was not. And I'm showing all the cables that I am using. I can't tell you how much money I've blown just ordering cables on Amazon, only to find out that they didn't quite work. Especially with these 2 front mics, I was trying for the longest time to do a balanced input, and that just wasn't working until I realized, oh, I need a TS instead of a TRS. So, like that, you're good to go. Another thing you could do, if you wanted to, would be to plug in your phone. Let me grab the right cable. If you wanted to do that, if you were playing along with the track, but you didn't want to have the music in the drum room because that'll be picked up by the mics, you could just listen to the headphone output from that iPhone with some earbuds or whatever, and then play along with the track and pick up the drum mics that way. But you will be losing 2 inputs. I'd like to thank you for your interest and time today. We've gone over the Portacapture to the best of my ability, showing you all my little different connectors and microphones, and even the little dead mouse we covered. If you want to make your cat happy, sprinkle some catnip on this and throw that to your pet. She'll absolutely love it. Hey, now I know there's a lot of cables and connectors here, and it's probably all a bit overwhelming. The good news is that it's not that much money to get all these and make your Portacapture all it really can be. So if you'd like me to send you a list with all the exact item numbers, just click the link below so I can email it to you directly. Aloha guys, I appreciate your time and interest in this channel. As always, mahalo from Hilo, Hawaii. Shoots!
Please don't forget to like and subscribe my channel, eh? Yeah?